everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm personally really excited, and I'm more excited about this topic. It's such an important topic. I remember my own educator journey, my journey in general, and how, at many different times I've had to redefine myself. I've had to evaluate myself and say, am I going in the right direction? Is this what I want to be doing? Am I doing it the way that I really want to be doing it? And that's a question that I have for every single one of you today. What is it that you want to be doing? And are you doing it in the best way possible? That is a question you need to answer, right? And as we go along, I'm hoping that we can answer those questions together. We can redefine our identities together. We can refine our identities together and just move to a place where we're very happy with what we're doing, but it's also aspirational. We're looking ahead and saying, I want to start doing this. Before we go too far, I want to believe every single one of us has something to write on. So what I'm going to ask you to do is open up to a fresh page, okay? And I want you to, let me show you an example. When you open up to a fresh page, I need you to have your book side by side, okay? Have pages side by side. What I want you to do as we go along is on one side, right, of the book, on your pages, that's maybe on the left hand side, you say to yourself, the way I used to do things, right? Because as I'm speaking, there's some things that might just come at you, right, the way you used to do things. And on the right, I need you to write the way you want to start doing those things, okay? It's important because if you don't have a plan to use the things you're learning here today, it's just going to go in and out. You'll be excited about it, but you're never going to use it, okay? And I really want us to use the things I'm going to be sharing. Let's talk a little bit about me. I'm an educator. I love being an educator. It is a big and really exciting part of my life, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything. I beg your pardon. And even if I've gone into the tech space and I do a lot of work as a business analyst in the technology space, I still find myself teaching. So I'm teaching people how to transition in their careers, how to pivot in their careers, how to understand the tools in business analysis. And that's combined with working with school leaders, working with teachers, working with educators in so many different capacities. So this is my love. It's something I'm absolutely excited about, and I always will say yes to the education sector. What are we going to be looking at today? These are some of the areas we're going to cover today. So we will look at, where you currently are, because it's very important when you are defining things, when you are moving forward with things, to say, where am I? Where am I currently? What is my current state, and where do I want to go? That is something that is very important, and it takes you through a journey of self-awareness, of self-analysis, right? Because if you don't know where it is that you are, it's usually very difficult to determine where you want to go. And even if it makes sense for you to even go to that place that you want to go. So we're going to spend time doing that. I'm going to share some tools with you. A SWOT analysis is one, VMOS analysis is one, and there's several tools that I'm going to share. What those tools do is to just really help you assess what it is that you want to do and make that determination if it is the goal you want to be gearing towards, working towards, or you want to change things. All right, so those are some of the things we're going to be doing today. Of course, we will talk about establishing your brand as an educator. Do you have a brand? Do you want to have a brand? What exactly is a brand? So we're going to look at things like that. I know I have just about 15 minutes, so we're going to do this and do it in the best and painless, seamless way possible. And then, of course, we'll look at the skills that you need to master before we sort of bring everything to a conclusion. Look at these two. When you go to the market to shop for seasoning cubes, what do you say? You say, I want to buy no. I want to buy onga. You say, I want to buy exactly Maggie. That typically is what we say. We say we want to buy Maggie, and many times my children would always correct me. Mommy, it's not Maggie. It's no. In fact, I've said Maggie to some of the shop owners or shop managers, and they've gone to bring Maggie, and I'm like, no, I mean no, and I'll correct myself. Why? Maggie is a household name, right? And that is when you talk about branding. That's such a strong brand in the seasoning market. They do have first mover advantage, which means that they were one of the very first brands that dominated within the Nigerian market, but they've gone ahead and held onto that position, right? And that's something you need to determine. Am I dominating? Am I holding on to that position? They're two very different things. And that is a question you need to be able to answer. So next time you're going to shop, think about it. Is it Maggie or is it no? Now look at this one. This is Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and every single time I think about Pepsi, I think about Coca-Cola. A lot of the time, what comes into my actually every time, what comes into my head is that domination, right? They're always at loggerheads. One is always fighting to be the lead. One is always trying to prove that they're better than the other. You know, there's always that going on between these brands, and that is a question you need to ask yourself. Is there a way you have created a dissonance within the minds of people when they think about you, when they think about your school, when they think about your business, when they think about you as a teacher? What is the dissonance? What is the emotion that you inspire in people? That is a question you need to answer. That is a question that is extremely important, because if it's not the right answer, then maybe you're not leaving the right impression in the minds of people. And that's not something that you want to ever happen. Okay, so think about that as well. This one is exciting for me because my daughter, for the longest time, this was maybe about 16 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. She's going to be 18 right now. And she always loved Mimi when she was younger. But a lot of the time, I'm talking Indomie. And she's like, no, Mimi. But guess what? Even though I know in my mind that it is Mimi, but every time I go to the shop, I ask for Indomie and I'm pointing somewhere else, right? Indomie represents stability. It's almost like this brand is one that we always know. So even if a new brand comes that is great, the first thoughts in my head are about the old one, because again, that is the imprint I have in my brain, and that really is branding, right? And so when you think about creating your brand, you need to say to yourself, what imprint currently exists and how do I take a bit of that share for myself? That is something that you really, really need to respond. And then we're going to go to one final one, and then we move on to another part of this entire presentation. Now, look at this one. When you think about this, right, there are two different segregations. For some of them, you're like, I don't like this one. That's like pizza. Not everybody likes to have pizza, right? And so that is a very niche sort of market. A lot of people like it, but not everybody likes it. And when you look at the different types of pizza, some people will not touch a pepperoni with anything. Some people would prefer to go for meaty. Some people would try the jollof, the jollof pizza that we now have. There's also the suya pizza, right? But there's so many tastes that can be catered to within that pizza space. Some people don't like it at all. You are not for everybody. Okay, the same way everybody goes into Chicken Republic or Mr. Biggs and they just find something that they want. To be honest with you, not everybody will go into a Booker Hut because of exclusivity. Not everybody can afford a Booker Hut, right? Even pizza can be quite expensive. You know, you're looking what 6,000, 7,000 naira for a box of pizza. I know what I will buy when I go into Mr. Biggs or Chicken Republic with that money. Okay, so again, exclusivity. Who are you for? That is part of branding. How do you determine who you connect with or who connects with you, right? Who are you? That's the question that I'm asking you today. Who are you? And how recognizable are you? Who are you? Who are you? Ask yourself that question. Ask your team members. Ask your parents. Ask your neighbor. Who are you? What do I stand for? That's a question that you need to answer. And how recognizable are you? All the brands I just shared are recognizable. In your sleep, if you see if I shared logos, for example, do you realize that some of you would grab those logos? Some might not grab the logos. Why? Because you don't see the logo. You see, the food, right? You see the exterior of those places, and that's something that, again, branding is, right? When you think about Maggie, I'm not even sure I remember that it's a star with maybe a chicken. I don't think I remember the logo. I just know the name. So what area do you want to be known for, right? You need to understand that you need to be seen, you need to be heard, you need to be read, you need to be felt. Where do you want to start? I'm going to give you another tool that I feel will be helpful for you. This is a lovely tool. I use it a lot, and you can change the segments. You can change the things I've written in the segment and make it yours. Your hobbies, your interests, your financial goals, your skills, your personality. You need to have an identity, right? And you need to define that identity. What is a public identity and what is a private identity? You need to know them. There's some things that you absolutely will have to keep private. But there's some that, you know what, it doesn't matter if people know. But those determinations must be made by you. And those go straight into your goals. What are your goals? Right? What is your vision for where you currently are versus where you want to go? What are your mission statements? How do you plan to do these things? What are the objectives? Why? 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 What is your strategy? Your strategy is the big picture, the way you want to do these things. And that's strategy. And then what are the little things that you need to do to meet those strategies that you have put in place? That's the everyday tactics. I want to be the best teacher in XYZ school. What is the meaning of best teacher? Right? Best teacher means I submit my notes on time. I have the children in my classroom understand the concepts the best and it stays with them. My parents come for meetings. Those could be your mission statements for your vision of being the best teacher in XYZ school. Now, what is the objective? The objective is so that you stand out, so that you create a name for your students, so that your students know that they're part of the system and that the school integrates very fully into the life and home of the students. That is your objective, right? Now, what is the strategy? The strategy, you've talked about what your notes on time. So it means time management. Then you go to the tactics. What is time management? I need to have a timeline of all the activities I need to do. Those are step by step. And that is extremely important if you want to meet that vision that you have set for yourself. All right. This is a great tool. Now, another tool that I think is really great is this one. It's a SWOT analysis, and you use it for self-reflection. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Strengths and weaknesses, which are on the left, are internal. These have to do with you. Nobody else is connected to these. These are you, and you. Your opportunities are your threats. Happen to you, but they're external to you. You really don't have a lot of control or influence over them. You're either going to use them or mitigate them in terms of threats. Threats you mitigate, and opportunities are you want to have make the best use of the opportunities that come your way. Those are questions again that you need to ask yourself and say, where am I in terms of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And they connect very strongly with the last slide that I just showed, which was your VMOST. Okay? Very, very critical. Now, let's look at establishing your brand as an educator. You basically are going to present yourself as a teacher or an educator with a brand that can stand out. Right? You're making connections. People want to be related with you. People want to connect with you. And that is something that you need to ask yourself, is this what I want? Some people want to fly under the radar. And that's okay. Some people want to be a big fish in a little pond. Some people want to be a little fish in a big pond. It just depends on where you want to swim. But that is a definition. That is something you have to determine for yourself. I'm not going to be able to do that for you. But one thing you need to understand is creating a value, creating brand outside of your current realities as a teacher establishes you, and it opens up so many doors for you. So many doors. But what is your 70%? Your 70% is teaching. That's the identity that you have. You can then extend it the same way you will extend your lesson. What? To create value and even extra value for your students. Now, these are ways that you can get started. Okay, these 6 would help you in terms of getting started. Clearly define where it is that you want to be. That is very critical. Articulate why you have made this decision. I want to be a teacher that can consult for other people, that can speak on other stages. Why? When you've answered the why, ask yourself another why. You need to ask yourself the 5 whys. All right? Answer those 5 whys, and that puts you in a very strong place in terms of creating and defining that extra value for yourself. Do a gap analysis of your current state. Where am I versus where I want to go? What are the skills I don't have that will take me to this place? And then do something about those skills that you don't have. All right, be sure that you have a visual model. Like me, for example, I have so many mentors I've never met them, but they're my mentors. I look at them and I'm like, oh wow, I want to know that person. Tara is one of them. I've never met her, physically, but I've met her virtually, right? Richard Branson is another one. I have these people that I look to and I say, I want to model, I want to fashion, I want to be able to do this that they're doing. Maybe not everything, but certain aspects that appeal to me. And that is something that you need to determine as well. Draw up your success pathway. Where do you need to go? Where is that place? Have a pathway, have your strategies and then your tactics, and then define your goals. Start collaborating. That is something that, again, is quite critical. Yeah. Define your objective and unique identity. I talked about this already. You need to say to yourself, what makes me different from other educators? And you're not looking at every educator, you're looking at specifics. So you need to know your target audience. What is this target audience? that I'm working with and what makes me unique to them? What is that thing that would always draw them to me? That is a question that you absolutely have to answer. Two of these that I've just put on this screen, these two are your best friends. They need to become your new best friends. Your value and your consistency. If you're not giving value and you're not giving value consistently, you're not even in the market. Okay? You cannot play in that market. And so you need to determine, and all of these things that I've shared help you determine the value you need to begin to create. Once you have created that value, you have to be consistent in the delivery of that value. Okay? And then, of course, you need to actually think about getting it done. One way to get it done is to create a portfolio. You have to have a portfolio, and it needs to be digital as well as physical. That actually showcases who you are, showcases your expertise, make people want to come to you. That is important. That is critical. Remember Indomie. Remember Coca-Cola. Remember Pepsi. Remember Mr. Biggs. Remember all those things that I shared at the beginning. Which one draws you to them? It's because you can clearly see that there is something in this brand that I want to connect with. And that is what you need to do with your portfolio. Think about your community and your network. How can you begin to leverage that even right now? Right? That is a question you need to ask yourself. How do I leverage this current community where I am right now? Because you always start from where you are. How? All right, ask yourself that question. And of course, continuous development. Things like this conference, you need to look out for them. Do the free ones, do the paid ones as well. Guess what you're developing yourself? My dad always said to me, to us, generally, the certificate is your own. I know I paid for your school, but this certificate is yours. It doesn't have my name on it. And that's the same thing. Your personal development has your name on it, not the name of anybody else. I've talked about the importance of having a strong online presence, and that's because post-COVID, we all live online right now. We all live online. Okay, so it's very important that you have and have established a strong identity online as well. Your footprint online needs to be really great, okay? Because people would also do research on you online. So what skills should you master? How do you put your best foot forward all the time? All of these are linked to your goal, are linked to your vision, are linked to where you currently are and where you want to go. All right, but you need to understand that before you begin to determine this brand you want to push out there, your brand already exists. Okay, which is why we say rebranding. People already know you for something. And if you think about rebranding, you need to say to yourself, where am I falling short? What is this thing that I am not able to do? What am I not able to communicate? When you're able to answer those questions, then you can stand very strong as this person, and then you begin to recreate a brand that you want people to see. Your brand is what people say when you're not in the room. Your brand is how you make people feel. It is not about what you're saying or what you're doing. It's how they connect with it, how they take from it. I'm going to give you this handy checklist because it's very important and it's a great one to have. You can take a picture of this slide, and it's something that you should always just use as you go along. Redefining your educator identity is a deliberate practice. You must be intentional about it. It requires dedication. You need to be very self-aware. Again, where am I current versus where I want to go? And you need to be willing to adapt and be flexible. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for a group of people. If those people do not connect with you, then what exactly are you doing? Right? So it's really important that you are, again, very deliberate, very intentional about where you want to go, what you want to do, and you clearly have a path that takes you there. Why? If you have a path and you're not following that path, it's easy to retrace your steps. But if you have no path, then what are you doing? Where are you going? I really do hope that you guys have gained a lot from this session today. I personally have really enjoyed being here and being part of this. And yeah, I'm here to take any questions that you have. I really hope that you've been writing things down and that you have questions for me. Thank you all so much.